Hello there, Fabian Klaus from the Ghana Revenue Authority. It's good to be back with you again. Now this week in Focus on GRA, we'll tell you about the update to the office protocol in keeping with the new COVID-19 emergency measures for persons visiting public buildings. We'll tell you how customs will be working during the peak season to ensure safety and seamless movement of passengers and cargo at the country's main ports of entry. We'll have the head of GRA's Information Technology Unit share aspects of the authority's ICT Modernization plan, which aims to revolutionize the delivery of service. We'll have important messages from the Ghana Revenue Authority and more. This is where Focus on GRA begins.
School is out and it's time to start buying those school supplies for your children. Here's how GRA can help. Textbooks, coloring books, graph books, dictionaries, pencils, erasers, crayons, lunch kits, scientific calculators, geometry sets, and many more essential school supplies are zero-rated for VAT. School uniform garments for shirts, pants, skirts, kimonos, and dresses are also zero-rated for VAT. So what are you waiting for? Get to shopping. GRA, your partner in development.
We want the best facilities that this country could ever see, the best infrastructure and public utility, the best education for children in this country, the best health services and public security. But if we want to see such development in every community, then we must be fair and pay we full share of taxes and duty. Want proper bridges and coca, pay your tax. Better roads and safer, pay your tax. Better electric power, pay your tax. Clear potable water, pay your tax. Better schools and teacher, pay your tax. Better nurses and doctor, pay your tax. Better police and soldier, pay your tax. For a better Guyana, pay your tax.
Meet Cindy.
Meet Shivani.
Cindy is using the old tax software to assist taxpayers,
While Shivani is using the new optimal software, where everything is stored electronically and is easily accessible.
Optimal Revenue Management System. Let's get ready for 2021.
Welcome to Focus on GRA. This is a program of information for taxpayer education. We begin by informing you of the new requirements for persons entering any of GRA's offices. Now, this is based on the updated COVID-19 emergency measures. Marcia Harris, the manager from the GRA's Public Relations Unit, will be providing you the details.
Taxpayers and visitors to any of the Ghana Revenue Authority's offices must now be fully vaccinated in keeping with the recently gazetted COVID-19 emergency measures.
Fully vaccinated would mean someone who has 2 doses of those vaccines that require 2 and at least one dose of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Because of the 7 that have been approved, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is the only one that can be administered as a single dose. The others, you need to have 2 doses. So a fully vaccinated person is a person who would have had 2 doses of the other vaccines other than Johnson & Johnson's.
The COVID-19 emergency measure states approved vaccines are AstraZeneca, Sinopharm, Sinovac, Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and any other vaccine approved by the Ministry of Health. Taxpayers who are visiting GRA's headquarters, integrated regional tax offices, or wharves or transit sheds must present a physical copy of the proof of their vaccination. Meanwhile, persons who are partially vaccinated will now have to make an appointment and produce a negative PCR test to conduct their business with the GRA.
Someone who is partially vaccinated would be someone who would have received at least 1 dose of the other vaccines other than Johnson & Johnson. And so for the partially vaccinated persons and for those who are unvaccinated, they will be required to have the PCR test done and have that submitted to the security prior to entry. Of course, the unvaccinated and partially vaccinated, those persons will also have to make an appointment when they're visiting the GRA. The PCR test is valid for 7 days. So whenever that appointment is, they must come with a valid PCR test.
Taxpayers who need to make an appointment can call 227-6060 or 227-8222, extension 1502, 1506, or 1507. Appointments can also be made via email. Email appointments@gra.gov.gy to visit GRA's headquarters, branches at gra.gov.gy for all integrated regional tax offices, and wharves at gra.gov.gy for all GRA's operations at the wharves or transit sheds.
This new measure takes effect from the 8th of November. And so it is expected that persons will ensure that if they have to come on that date, that they will book their appointment in advance, or it would mean that they would have to come at a later date. They would have to postpone their appointment in order to ensure that they have the PCR tests and everything in place before visiting the Ghana Revenue Authority.
Persons visiting any GRA office are reminded that standard COVID-19 prevention measures remain in place. Taxpayers are asked to comply with the temperature checks, hand sanitization, and social distancing measures in place at all GRA offices.
And we invite you to visit our website to see more details on the office protocol based on the updated COVID-19 emergency measures. Now, with passenger arrivals expected to increase during this Christmas season, the Comptroller of Customs, Mr. Rohan Biku, is assuring that systems are in place to hasten processing and clearance at the country's international airports, as well as the Molson Creek ferry crossing. Here are the details. Due to the pandemic, safety remains a priority in all operating systems and procedures at the country's ports of entry. COVID-19 guidelines require all passengers traveling via air or sea to wear a face mask throughout the journey and present vaccination cards or a negative PCR test along with their passenger declaration to Port Health, Immigration and Customs. At the Chedijagan International Airport, Timeri, the Eugene F. Correa Airport at Ogle, and the Molson Creek Guyana-Suriname ferry crossing, Customs continues to work along with its port counterparts in enforcing the COVID-19 travel guidelines while in peak season mode.
There will be an increased number of passengers coming in and out of Guyana. So in so keeping, in addition to the baggage scanner we have at Chedijagan International Airport, one is about to be implemented shortly at the EFC International Airport, Ogle. That is along the same lines to expedite the movement of passengers through customs.
Following reports of functional errors with the newly acquired baggage scanner at the Chedijagan International Airport, the Revenue Authority is assuring that there are other fully functional baggage scanners in the customs arrival hall. Customs will therefore continue to facilitate seamless processing of passenger baggage. Principal Manager of Customs at the Chedijagan International Airport, Mr. Stanley Phillips, provides this brief walkthrough of the process.
Between 95 to 98% of those persons arriving, we will process them through 2 green lanes that we have, one at number 10 and 9, and the other at number 1 and 2. Number 1 and 2 is where we have the container scanner. And number 9 and 10, where is the submission of the documents without having non-intrusive examination. The scanner will be, the purpose of the scanner is to do non-intrusive examination, and only when the officer who's responsible for manning every person into this customs area decided on a couple of initiatives, and this is risk management techniques. That officer can send the passenger direct for examination. That officer can send the passenger direct to the scanner, or that officer can send the passenger direct to the other green lane that we have on the other side. So the officer who's responsible for manning the activities in the customs area will direct the passenger or passengers to the scanner, where we will have a non-intrusive examination. There will be social distancing in the queue leading up. The passenger will be responsible for lifting their suitcase. If the suitcase is so heavy that they are unable to help themselves, the red cap, who may be in attendance, will give that assistance to place the bags, the luggage onto the belt. The contents of the suitcase will now be displayed on 2 monitors that is manned by a custom officer who is responsible for reviewing that image. Anything that we may not be too clear on, or any items that appears to be prohibited or restricted, our commercial will be subsequently be taken to one of the counters, and the counters, as you know, for examination, and an officer will be responsible for opening up the bags and conduct a physical examination of the contents.
Similar baggage surveillance systems are earmarked for the Eugene F. Correa Airport at Ogle and the Guyana-Suriname Molson Creek Ferry Crossing to parallel the system at the Chedijagan International Airport. The objective is to hasten the customs process at the country's ports of entry, to curtail undue delays for passengers during the peak season travel in the midst of a pandemic.
In addition to the baggage scanner we have at Chedijagan International Airport, one is about to be implemented shortly at the EFC International Airport, Ogle. That is along the same lines to expedite the movement of passengers through customs. We've also recently implemented one at Molson Creek at the Guyana-Suriname border. Once the ferry is back to normal scheduling, then we can process passengers as quickly as possible.
The Revenue Authority uses this opportunity to remind persons entering Guyana about the provisions in Regulation 84 of the Customs Regulation, Chapter 8201, which requires the owner of any baggage brought into the customs area to immediately attend upon the proper officer and answer all questions put to him or her. The owner shall make such declarations in writing, including declarations in Form C14B and C14C, relating to such baggage as the officer shall require, and shall pay to the proper officer any duty that may be payable thereon, and forthwith remove such bag from the baggage room. Personal effects. These are barrels, boxes, packages, and parcels containing non-commercial items sent via air or sea through a recognized shipping agency. A flat rate of duty is applied for clearing these items. You can visit the GRA's website, gra.gov.gy, to learn more. Focus on GRA is back after this short message. During this rather difficult period, the Guyana Revenue Authority wants to ensure that you complete a transaction as comfortably and speedily as possible. Drop by the Guyana Post Office Corporation anytime during working hours if you have to pay your internal revenue or your value-added taxes, your customs duties, or you can purchase your motor vehicle license. You can even drop in your tax returns there. You'll find us on the 2nd floor of the Guyana Post Office Corporation using the Rob Street entrance. Welcome back. You're watching Focus on GRA, a program of information for taxpayer education. The Guyana Revenue Authority is advising the public against illegal acts during this holiday season. Common among them is smuggling, which results in the state losing revenue, but it also puts the health and safety of the nation at risk. Customs will therefore be bolstering its monitoring systems at the country's ports of entry to ensure compliance with the country's laws and regulations. Here again is the Comptroller of Customs, Mr. Rohan Biku. The Christmas holiday is usually the time when most Guyanese anticipate holiday packages from relatives abroad. It's also the time for retailers to ship in commercial items in time for the holiday shopping spree. But this is also the time when Customs is on high alert to guard against persons attempting to smuggle and defraud the state. Smugglers have been known to use numerous tactics to cheat the tax system during the peak season. Among them, making false declarations and concealing prohibited or restricted items in personal effects and commercial consignments. Comptroller of Customs, Mr. Rohan Biku, is advising against such practices this season.
There are times, unfortunately, and there are some persons that often try to exploit the measures, try to find workarounds. We are urging those who may want to do so to desist. We have various revenue protection functions in place. I've called the sections just now. Those sections will kick in when attempts are made. And there are penalties in addition to the taxes that may be due and payable, penalties and even imprisonment in accordance with the laws if the persons are found to have done so with intent to defraud the revenue. Of course, coming with conviction from a court of law. So we would urge persons who may seek to do so to desist, but rather to try and use or work within the framework of the relief measures that we have implemented to bring some relief to customers.
Aided by baggage and barrel scanning technology and a risk-based system, Customs will be tightening its control functions at the country's ports of entry to ensure compliance with the country's laws and regulations, while at the same time facilitating trade and maximizing revenue collection. Importers guilty of false declaration and concealing goods with intent to defraud the Revenue Authority can face fines and penalties.
We don't want to create any red tape now that is going to impede the flow of or the smooth movements of goods. And this includes not only the personal effect goods. For commercial goods, we already have a risk-based system in place that we tweak constantly, backed up by core revenue protection functions, which are the Central Revenue Processing Unit, the Law Enforcement and Investigation Division, and post-clearance audit. These are all driven by risk management to just target those consignments that are deemed as high risk, and most of the others are allowed to go green, backed up by post-clearance checks sometime down in the future.
The second schedule of the Customs Act, Chapter 8201, based on the 2017 Harmonized Commodity Description and Coding System, specifies in detail the items prohibited and restricted from imports. Among the prohibited items are firecrackers, articles of food declared to be unfit for human consumption, indecent or obscene print materials or articles, goods manufactured outside of Guyana without proper identification markers. Restricted items may include arms and ammunition imported without the written permission of the Commissioner of Police, dangerous drugs not licensed by the Chief Medical Officer, spirits and tobacco products without the approved excise stamps, and motor vehicles imported under conditions for tax exemption purposes. Whether it's during the peak season or year-round, the Revenue Authority is moving ahead with its strategic objectives of revolutionizing service delivery to taxpayers through information communication technology. You'll be hearing from head of GRA's IT unit about what this objective entails and what is expected in the medium and long term. Meanwhile, the public is encouraged to adapt to these modern approaches, as the old way of doing business will be a thing of the past. Among other important functions, quality service is one of the means through which the Guyana Revenue Authority aims to fulfill its mission of promoting compliance with the country's tax laws and regulations. The level of service is determined by, among other things, the length of time a taxpayer takes to complete a transaction at the GRA. Fortunately, the adoption of information communication technology best practices in recent years has equipped the Revenue Authority to respond faster to taxpayers' expectations.
In this age, ICT plays a critical role in sort of bringing any agency's strategic objectives to life in such a way that it improves general efficiency, it improves effectiveness and reach to our customers that we're intending to serve. So in that regard, years ago, I think we spoke about the things we wanted to achieve. I'm happy to report that to date, we have made significant inroads into achieving our strategic objectives.
Three key elements of the Revenue Authority's operations, customs, inland revenue taxes, and license revenue operations, have been facilitated through information communication technology systems. The automation of the driver's motor vehicles and trade license, as well as certificates for TIN, VAT, and compliances, is evidence of this modern approach. Gradually, all these services are being made available online so that taxpayers can have access from the comfort of their homes and offices.
We've been able to do so with Asikuda. It does require some bit of technical requirements for you to be able to get access to the service, but that is about to be changed. We've also completed the first phase of Optimal, our tax administration software, which in the first phase sought to replace the key elements of TRIPS, right? This is from registration, returns processing, and all the financial accounting and so on, right? The remaining elements to come that we will see coming up soon will be addressed in phase 2. LRO is another area which we had automated for years now, but since COVID, we made it a priority to bring forward the online interaction with our taxpayers.
LRO, the abbreviation for License Revenue Operations, is being facilitated through the License Revenue Processing System, LRPS. This is an internal development software which automates procedures for vehicle registration, motor vehicle license, driver's license, and trade and miscellaneous license.
When you look at the constitution of the traffic community in GRA, who the customers are and what services they're coming for, a large percentage of those individuals are coming for LRO-related services, driver's license, motor vehicle license, and potentially business license, right? Now, if we are able to move that online in this COVID time, it bodes well not only for the GRA being able to offer that convenient service, but it has a health consideration as well. Both our customers and our staff members would be less exposed to interacting with others and less likely to contract the COVID-19 virus.
The GRA's Information Technology Unit, headed by Ceci Jones, is gearing to bring the license revenue processing system to the live online environment. This new phase will bring endless benefits to the management and operation of license revenue services through reduced processing time and ultimately reduced congestion at GRA's offices.
Once that hits, our taxpayers will be able to register vehicles online, purchase motor vehicle license, renew driver's license, and several other services. Unfortunately, because of the nature of these interactions, they can't be 100% online. Meaning, like, if you have to register your vehicle, at some point you need to bring the vehicle in for us to inspect it and for us to validate it against the facts presented in your documentation. However, it does improve the speed at which we can process you. Got a good chunk of the upfront activities would have been taken care of by the customer online, meaning they sign in, they uploaded all the required documentation. Our staff can vet those documents before you even come to our offices, give you a strong feedback on anything that is missing that will be needed for a smooth processing when you finally come. So on the day when you show up to the office, it's more about validating the facts presented online, the examination of the vehicle, and then registration, and you're out of there.
In the process of moving its operations to the online pathway, the Revenue Authority is depending on taxpayers to quickly adapt to these modern approaches so that they can experience the advantages. Part 8 of the VAT Act, Chapter 8105, mandates every taxable person to submit a tax return for each tax period or month within 15 days after the end of that period. In addition, a VAT return must be submitted whether or not tax is payable in respect of that period. So on that account, November 22, that is Monday, November 22, is the due date for the submission of VAT returns. This date would account for the 15th working day of the month minus the weekend and the Diwali holiday on Thursday, November 4. Register for e-services through the GRA's Optimal Revenue Management System to submit your returns online. We have tax specialist Deslyn Best illustrating how to register.
The signing up process is pretty simple and straightforward.
First, you go to our website, which is www.gra.gov.gy. You select e-services. Then you click on the link that's there. Click register for an account or create an account. You would be able to input your personal information such as your name, your date of birth, email address, password. There would be some security questions you select the answers to. You enter your TIN as the username. And after that, an activation link will be sent to your email. That's the email address that you provided. Then after you've done that, you click confirm email address, just to make sure that this is the email address that you want to use. Also, if you wish, you can go to our YouTube channel and view the video which gives you guidance on how to sign up first, and then you go through the signing up process. If you want, after you've signed in and you need to log into your account, the email address that you provided us with, we will send an email to you to activate your account. But you need to remember that you need to keep checking your account almost immediately after you have signed up, because GRA sends you an email and you have to respond to that email or go back into your account within 40 to 72 hours. Now, what you need to remember, if you do not, during this window time, the 40 to 72 hours that you did not activate your account, then you would have to use a different email address when you're signing up again. You will not be able to use that email address to sign up with GRA e-services again. So just remember to check your email almost immediately. The mail might be in your inbox. If not, you can check your spam or your junk mail. So we're going to go on to how can you log into your account. You must use your username, and your username is your TIN. Then you enter the password that you would have saved, and you click on login.
So Deslin, Ron is asking how to go about linking his e-services account, but he really wants to know also, what does it mean to link an e-services account?
Linking your account is to verify that the information you provided is true and correct, and this is indeed the said taxpayer that registered for the account. That is why we ask you to provide a copy of your ID card, your passport, or your driver's license. To link the account, you go to inbox, select new messages. For the subject, you select taxpayer e-service registration from the drop-down arrow. Then you list the document you wish to upload, whether it's your ID card, whether it's your passport or your driver's license. You need to type in that box which document you're uploading. And that's the end of linking your account.
As a remigrant, you can import more than one vehicles and pay no import duties, no VAT, and reduce excise tax. However, the total exemption cannot exceed $5 million. If it does, you will have to pay the additional duties and taxes. Did I mention that returning students are also entitled to the same benefit 6 months after settling in the country? For additional information and assistance, contact us 227-6060, extension 1201 to 1204. When it comes to healthcare, we all want the best. The best hospitals, the best doctors, and the best treatment. But sometimes the best comes at a heavy cost. Well, the good news is you don't have to worry about VAT on medical, dental, hospital, optical, or paramedical services. There's also no VAT on orthopedic appliances like hearing aids or others that are implanted on the body to compensate for a defect or disability. Sounds like good news to help you feel better for the best. And that's all the time we have for you in this edition of Focus on GRA. But before I go, we encourage you to visit our website for more information, www.gra.gov.gy, and you can check out our social media platforms to learn more. Bear in mind also that there is a new COVID-19 protocol based on the updated COVID-19 emergency measures as explained earlier. Fabian Klaus saying, take good care of yourselves and each other.